Hey everybody, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell. Welcome to the latest Monday Musings episode with my head cold. I'm pre-recording this on November 6th. This will be out on November 7th. So for those of you who are here tuning in November 7th, welcome. Happy Monday. And I hope you're prepared for a jam-packed day today because we have this episode of Monday Musings, and this afternoon we've got the episode of um, Mondays and MMORPGs, and then tonight, of course, we've got streaming of Star Wars: The Old Republic as my brother and I continue the adventures of our Imperial agent and mercenary bounty hunter. This has been a somewhat slow week. I've just been doing, lots of little things here and there, working on tabletop stuff and everything else. Let's just go through a walkthrough. So, um, did a lot of reading recently. This month I'm doing Sword and Sorcery read through with Liam from Liam's Lyceum, um, and I've read the first Conan book from Robert Jordan, Conan the Invincible. I've got a video up on that. If you haven't checked that out already, feel free to read that. Watch that, I should say. I'm also going to be reading the other two books. I got the omnibus edition of which has the first three books that Robert Jordan wrote. It's a lot different than his Wheel of Time stuff, but it's all good. It's something fun. So I'm going to be reading that through the month of November. And if I get done with all three of those before the end of the month, um, I'll start Chronicles of Amber sometime this month. Otherwise, Chronicles of Amber is going to be my read, the next thing I read. After that, I'm planning on doing the Thrawn trilogy from Timothy Zahn, which kicked off the Star Wars expanded universe, as they used to call it back there in the early mid 90s. And then after that, I plan on rolling into the Expanse novels, which I've never read. I've just watched the show, but with the final season coming up in December, perfect time for me to finish the show and then dive right into the books and see the differences there. Um, there's a ton of stuff happening in November. Um, Wheel of Time kicks off the show. I can't wait for that. I still cautiously optimistic. Amazon is putting their money where their mouth is, and they're trying really hard to get themselves a franchise in the likes of Game of Thrones. They're obviously shooting big with the Lord of the Rings show, the Middle Earth show, but they're also hoping that the Wheel of Time show is going to end up being something that turns into their version of Game of Thrones. Also, the last episode of Foundation will happen, at which point I will be going back and watching the whole season of Foundation. I didn't start Foundation yet because I don't like to watch weekly episodes anymore. I just don't. I used to many years ago. I just can't be bothered now. It's like I will wait until it's all there and then I'll just binge watch it over the course of like 2 days. That's how I prefer to watch my shows these days. Because if you've only got eight or 10 episodes in a season, each one's 45 minutes to an hour long, that means I can realistically do 2, 3 days of binge watching and, take a Saturday or Sunday when I know I'm already going to be watching something with Chris and we can just spend, 3 or 4 hours on the couch. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, done. So looking forward to that. We've also got the Witcher show coming out, season 2 of The Witcher. I'm sure I'm missing some other shows. Final Fantasy expansion is pushed back. That announcement came today as I'm pre-recording this. Um, doesn't really bother me. I've got everything pre-ordered. I still haven't even gotten through Heaven's Word because I put Final Fantasy 14 on hold while I was playing other things, but I'm about to jump back into that at some point this month. Um, I got a freebie, Kingdoms of Amalur: The Re-Reckoning. I've been playing that a little bit here this week because it was free with PlayStation Plus this month. I did a review or an overview of my first impressions. If you want to check that video out, I was hoping that it was going to be fun. The problem is it's not very fun. It's huge. It's a big RPG, but I'm not. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. There's just something about it. It's just not that. The story isn't that good to keep me involved. The RPG mechanics are very generic, and they aren't strong enough to keep me super like invested in trying to build my character. The side quests, there's just so many of them. It feels like I'm doing endless fetch quests to, you know, keep going on the main quest line. And that's the kind of stuff I'm not a big fan of. So I don't know. I may continue to push along with that. But for now, I'm not having as much fun as I thought, which means I might be jumping back into Final Fantasy 14 sooner rather than later. I have been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 the last few days. This is my third playthrough. I literally was like sitting on the couch today because I've been a little under the weather, and I was like, I'm just gonna go log around, start a new character, ride around, get my horse, and go hunt animals and stuff. So I've been having fun with that. I tried to do Cyberpunk 2077 again. Unfortunately, the PS4 version is still pretty buggy, and ultimately I put about 30 hours in that the week before and just gave up the ghost and said, I'm just going to wait till the PS5 version comes out because it's not the PS4's. I've had like 6 blue screen crashes in 30 hours of gameplay, lots of texture loading issues. It's still very buggy. Um, Lots of prep stuff with my brother for a lot of things. We obviously launched and released the Wandering Hermits production Weave in the Void into the wild week and a half ago or so. Um, Gotten some really good feedback from the demo of the point and click adventure game. We did a big brainstorming session this past Wednesday night on the new Twitch channel. Pushed that to the YouTube channel live on Friday. Now that we've got all the branding released, we're getting back into our Wednesday night stand ups. So those are going to be live streamed on the new Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Weave and Void. That's also going to be the channel you want to go subscribe to if you're going to be following along with the D&D campaign that we're kicking off November 21st. That's the tentative date. Everybody's got their costumes. We're actually, well, actually, as of this airing, we had our session last night because November 7th, it's weird because I'm pre-recording this on the 6th. Tomorrow night, being November 7th, we are doing our first meetup with the group with Fantasy Grounds, and we're going to be doing character creation, and I'm going to be setting up my OBS stuff, overlays, everything else. So uh, that happened. For those of you watching, that happened last night. Um, Trying to think. I'm going to be tonight, I believe. I'm going to be watching Dune again. Um, the night I'm recording this. So um, it's such a good film. It really is true to the books. I can't wait to see it again. Writing wise, Chapter 9 got published this past week. Poor Chris. When she gets back, she's going to have 4 chapters that she's going to have to try to do catch up for. And she's got to do catch up with tabletop. So, she likes to draw, thankfully, but poor girl's going to have her work cut out for her, which means she won't be doing any concept art for the tabletop. It's just going to be getting caught up on chapter work, which is okay because she's done quite a bit of concept art, like vistas and stuff. And what we're planning on doing for the source book is I thought I was going to do it in October, and I decided to just push it back till January. I'm going to be starting to do some Fiverr stuff and get some character art from people to flesh out character art for the tabletop book. And then we're going to plan on having that source book ready for sale by March, hopefully. Depends on when I get, how I get time, when I get time, or how that unfolds for me to do the layout. I might not do the layout. I might hire somebody else to do the interior layout so that I don't have to learn how to do um, Adobe InDesign. We'll see. But yeah, we're that project's moving ahead full speed. I've been working on the module a little bit more. This past week, I worked on part 4 a little bit. And we're getting ready to ship the miniatures down here. Joey's going to keep about 25% of them. So we've got like 150 in total because we had some miniatures from a previous thing that we purchased. So we've got miniatures from that plus the 100 that we picked up. We're going to be giving some to our tabletop members and our patrons. And then the rest of them, Joey's going to keep like 25%, and then he's going to ship the rest down to me. And we're going to be doing miniature painting on the new YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok accounts for the Weave in the Void, and getting those up for sale in an Etsy store, which we have not launched yet, but we will be launching an Etsy store in early 2022, which is going to contain probably what we think it's going to contain right now is going to be signed sketches from Chris, her original sketches that she was doing. Like, if you remembered, I used to have a couple on the wall here. Some of the early pencil sketches that she did for Weave in the Void. She'll be selling those signed, and then we're gonna eventually get the source books printed off. We're gonna print off maybe a dozen copies of those, sign those, and get those up into the Etsy as collector's editions. We're also going to be doing the miniatures, going to be sold through our Etsy store for those who want miniatures for our tabletop campaigns. And I don't know what else we're going to stick in there. Probably some signed canvas maps, things of that nature. That's all next year. We're not worrying about that till after the holidays. I apologize I didn't mute myself in time for that cough. Um, Trying to think what else I could talk about today. It's been a slow week, like I said. It's just been a little bit of work on Weaving the Void. We are getting ready to go into the next stage of production for the Adventurer's Tale, the point and click adventure game, because that's what this past Wednesday's brainstorming session was taking the map from Marin's Rest and laying out the rest of the scenes that need to be built. And from this point on, it's not difficult. We've already done the hard part in terms of getting, mechanics working. And when I say mechanics, it's stuff like getting the doors working so that when you enter a door, it loads you into the next scene, and then when you exit, it loads you out into the scene. Um, Getting the quest dialogue to work and spawn items when we need them, getting the NPC dialogue to work so that certain things happen based on what stage of the quests you're on, or if you're on a quest at all or not on a quest. Got some good feedback from people so far on the demo in terms of, we still aren't exactly sure whether we're going to be using right clicking or left clicking for objects. Um, but the mechanics are there. So now it's just in terms of mechanics, that means the blueprints are done. So from here on out, all the blueprints are finalized. So Joey just has to build the new scenes, copy and paste the blueprints over, and then we just put our new dialogue in place and whatever quest items we need. So that's the good thing, is that the past 6 months were all the hard work in terms of getting all those things working and figuring out how to make them work. And then from here on out, we just implement and world build and do more quest dialogue and more NPC dialogue and everything else. And um, yeah, onwards and upwards on that front. The D&D project, man, everybody's so excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, it's actually, everyone is so psyched that I'm actually a little nervous now. I haven't been nervous to DM a campaign in a very long time, but I've never done a public DM. I've never done a public campaign like this. So because the whole purpose of this is to create a spectacle that people want to watch on our Twitch channel, it's also our way of learning Fantasy Grounds as a group, and then learning 5th edition for those who don't know how to play it, like my wife and Simmerg, aka Phoenix. And then once we wrap up the Lost Mines of Phandelver, rolling into the Weave and Void campaign early next year, which we anticipate to be around March. Um, and that's when things really kick into high gear, because that's when we start doing our homebrew campaign. We're going to be streaming that on Twitch, and the whole purpose of streaming that is so that we could be selling copies of our source book and promoting everything that we're doing through the Patreon page, and building up the Twitch channel and building up the YouTube channel and so on and so forth with the tabletop campaign and the tabletop setting and rulebook, and of course the chapters that are coming out on Patreon. There's a part of me that would love to just write the book like a traditional book and get it done, but I really like the pacing. Hemvar asked me this the other day in Discord, like, how do I feel about doing it serialized? It's nice. Like, it's really nice to be doing it at a relaxed pace because I can just take my time. And having a chapter come out every 2 weeks means that I just have plenty of time to think about where the chapter is going to go, so that when I sit down and write it, it goes, and it's an easy 1 or 2 writing sessions to get the chapters down. And here's the thing, if I didn't have a day job, I would be able to sit down and write, a few thousand words a day. But I don't have the luxury of doing that because I have a day job. And I'm also working on the tabletop. And I'm also working on point and click adventure game in terms of writing. So I can't write chapters every single day for the book. That sounds really lame. I could if I really wanted to just do it, but I do other things with my time. I play a couple hours of video games every day. I work on the module a couple hours a day. I work on the point and click. I work on the marketing. I work on the video production. I do all of these things. There's only so many hours in the day, and the one thing I do for relaxation is video games and or Netflix with Chris. And I could sacrifice those two things and write chapters every single day, which theoretically I probably should instead of wasting my time with video games. But I like doing video games, and it's helped my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel here, grow over the years. So, you know, I'm getting there. At one point, I'll get to a thousand subscribers, and we'll monetize. And it's less about the money because you're not going to make a lot of money at 1,000 followers, but YouTube promotes your videos more once you hit 1,000. So if you're listening to this and you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you get updates for future content. And if those of you who are following along, I would love it. Share it out and ask people to join. Um, I would like to do some more Lotro cooking shows, episodes this winter. Um, I don't know. Chris and I are talking about. We haven't done anything with marginal boundaries for a long time, and we're debating about doing a lot of Mexico content starting next year or maybe this winter. Um, to grow because our marginal boundaries YouTube channel has been sitting there at like 750 followers for like years. We haven't done anything with it since the end of 2017, so 18, 19, 20, 20, 4 years we haven't done anything with it. And there's a lot of things we would like to do in Mexico, and we're just going to be looking and seeing where we're at. So one of the things I still can't talk about what she's doing right now, where she's at in her hometown. I've alluded to it. Um, if you've been around long enough, you know why she went out there and what she's doing. But we'll talk about it more once she gets back and we have signatures on all the things that need signatures. But we're getting to the point where it's great to live here in the city. I love the city. I would love to continue living here in the city, and as long as we need to be here in the city to produce videos and have a really good internet connection, then we will. Um, but we also would like to be continue. We would love to do road trips and explore Mexico, but we haven't ever needed um, a vehicle, and we still don't need a vehicle. And where we live, we don't actually have a garage. So if we were to buy a vehicle, we would have to use a public garage. The good thing is that parking here in Mexico City is not that expensive. There's several covered parking garages where right around where we live because we live by the American Embassy, so we're smack dab downtown. And as long as our landlord is happy with us, we've been here 4 years almost. February will be 4 years we've been here at this place. We like our landlord, she likes us. It's affordable. Um, so we've thought about getting a car because we found that place. It's like $60 a month for parking, which is very inexpensive to just have a place to park your car. And it's not right here. I mean, it's about a 10-minute walk um, from the house. It's basically going down half a block and then right like 4 or 5 blocks. So it's a 10-minute walk to the closest one. But it's a reputable place and it's $60 a month. So we've been debating buying a car. We still don't know if we're going to do it. But what we would like to do is once a week. Um, because again, I don't, with my day job, working Monday through Friday, um, but it's not necessarily hourly commitments, it's objective based commitments. So as long as I've got my work done for the day, I can kind of do whatever I want the rest of my time. And what we'd like to do is think about having Fridays be where we um, shut down, get all my day job stuff, do everything we need to do for the day job, and then we might need to do even though, and then we take off like at noon on a Friday afternoon or 10 a.m. or noon somewhere in there, and we just drive, do a day trip, and go somewhere, campground, a hotel or whatever, to a place that we want to cover, and on the way there we shoot a bunch of footage and record a bunch of video, stay the night, do some food photography, a hotel review, that kind of stuff. And then the next day, more photography and videography, and then come home. Because here's the thing, we still have our cameras, which we haven't done anything with in 4 years. We also have the drone that I bought in 2017. The irony of buying the drone was that we bought the drone because we knew we were going to use it when we were in Ireland for that contract, but I also anticipated that I was going to be using it for another project. That other project ended up getting canceled, and the three of us who were working on that project ended up, and this is the funny thing, that was a project that had been going on for like 16 years, and they just decided, the companies running it decided, despite the fact that we had like 350% growth that year, they decided to just pull the plug on that side project. It's no different than a TV show. There's just the production, the company decides one day that they don't want to do it anymore. So I was kind of left sitting here going, well, shit, you know, excuse me, I managed to mute some of that. I've been sitting here with a drone that I've only used one time professionally. Um, so Chris and I were like, we really should go do stuff here in Mexico. We don't want to do it through like buses and tours and stuff like that. And it gets expensive to just rent a car, if you just want to do day trips, because you'll spend, with insurance and everything else, you'll spend $80 a day plus gas, so for a 2-day trip you're going to be spending $200, 250 dollars. Well, that's, you add that up over the course of the year, that adds up very quickly to several $1,000s. And we looked at it and went, it'd just be better for us to just wait until we're absolutely ready to do it, buy a car in cash, and have our own vehicle, so that we can go do those road trips whenever we want. We've been talking about doing this for years. The first time we talked about doing a road trip was all the way back in, like, man, it was either before Christina's surgery or after her surgery. So it was either like 2013 or 2014. I even did a blog post on it. I did a Google Maps thing where I outlined a route that we wanted to take, and we planned it all out, and we had budgeted it, and we were going to do it via buses. And we were going to do this whole thing where we just took, because the bus system in Mexico is top notch, like most other countries in the world, unlike the United States, which has a horrible bus system. They have great buses here. They have luxury buses like the Platino with ADO, which is a literal sleeper cabin bus. So you get sleeper cabins and Wi-Fi and all your outlets and everything else, and it's a full-on. It's a little cabin. It's a sleeper cabin. So you could get on this bus and have your own little sleeper cabin for your, journey to the destination. And who cares if it's like an 8-hour trip, because it's cheaper than a plane, and you have time to be working on that trip or sleeping, whatever you need to do. So you get to the place where you're going to be, you're refreshed, you've had a sleep, you've had snacks, you've had food, you've been able to work, and then you get where you're going. But we just never did it. I don't remember why we didn't do it. Probably because we got the contract to go to Spain, I think is what happened. And then we just went to Spain, and then we came back, and then I got the job with TripAdvisor, and then that was a year of working with TripAdvisor, going all over the Riviera Maya, and then out to Puerto Vallarta and everything else. So the road trip thing just kind of fell by the wayside, because by the time I wrapped up TripAdvisor, I then went and worked on the other project, which led to the end of 2017, which is when we went to Ireland as well on that contract, and we got back, and then we moved to Mexico City, and it was full-time game development. So it's just suddenly we've been, what, 7, 8 years, and that road trip never happened. So we'll see. It's something that we would actively want to think about doing in 2022, but we would like to buy a car before we do that. So I don't know if we will or not. It's not a necessity at this point, but it's something that we're thinking about, and it depends on a few factors, because I don't want to finance a vehicle. I'm really anti debt, um, anti having to spend monthly payments on things. Um, I have been debt free for a while now, and it's a very good place to be. Um, and Chris is very anti. She's very uh, risk. I can't think of the word. My brain's melting right now because of the cold. She's very against risk taking in that nature as well. Oh, speaking of which, I'm also dabbling. I say risk aversion, but I'm actually dabbling a little bit. My brother and I have started to dabble a bit in crypto, and also traditional investing. So we both started up Robinhood accounts and Coinbase accounts. And we have a cousin who's been doing very well with crypto for the past few years. And so we've been starting to dabble a little bit in that. Not big amounts. It's money. This is the most important thing with investing or doing something like this. It needs to be money that you can throw away. So it's money that you can throw at something to experiment with And if you lose it, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So you have to be in a position where you've got some disposable income that you can literally just throw at something and say, instead of eating out 3 times this month, I'm going to take that money, I'm going to put it towards this, and we just won't eat out. It's that kind of stuff. Um, so we're going to see how all that comes together. We're also thinking about starting to invest in video game companies, startups through Fig and other places. And also, there's some investment firms that we might like to get started up with and do investing in games. We'll see. There's a lot of things we're dabbling with right now. But the Mexico exploration thing is something that I'd love to do, um, because the things that we would like to cover on YouTube and etc., there's nobody else who's been doing it in English or Spanish. So we have the opportunity to create content for the internet that hasn't been created yet. And that's always good for a niche because it helps your videos do very well and it helps any sort of website you've got up do very well. So, food for thought. I don't know if that's going to happen because it also, we have to make time for that because we're also going to be busy with all the Project Drammond stuff. It's not Project Drammond anymore. I still call it that. My bad. We're going to be really busy with all the Weave and Void stuff, the weekly tabletop, 3 time weekly posts, and everything else. But usually Friday and Saturdays are the days when, if I have more time those days. So we'll see. That gave me enough content today. I'm 26 minutes in, so that's going to be a wrap for this episode, everybody. I need to go get some food. I'm going to make a tuna melt. And see everybody next week. Don't forget Mondays and MMORPGs tonight, 6:30 p.m. Central, and then after that, around 8:30 p.m. Central. Don't forget. Actually, I just forgot. Just remembered. 8 p.m. tonight on the Weave and Void Twitch channel, I will be reading Chapter 2 of the Weave and the Void book. So tune in for that, and then we're going to be going right into Star Wars after that and streaming on YouTube here for Star Wars Old Republic. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.